Hey everybody, I'm Carl Krauskopf, and I have dedicated my career now to real estate investing with a specific focus on multifamily. Over the last 5 years, I have learned the tremendous value that these investments have to offer. Today, I want to spend a couple minutes talking about market trends that I'm seeing both nationally as well as Seattle specific. First off is the job market. Now, as I'm sure many of you have seen from a data perspective, job market continues to be the one hedge that is continuing the Fed hike pattern right now. Inflation has obviously come down quite a bit, but that job market is so incredibly resilient. Despite the layoffs that we're still seeing strong job growth, and that is one reason again that is why I love the multifamily space. Even though a lot of employers are going to remote work, shifting spaces, going to different places in the United States, the one thing that has remained since the pandemic is the ability to work remote. And so I feel that multifamily is standing to gain the most out of that momentum, or rather that move into from a work perspective. And so strong job market really does impact in a positive way the multifamily investing space. Now here in Seattle, we have a ton of investing, or rather we have a ton of technology jobs that are investing in the space here. Amazon, Microsoft, as well as a lot more of the mid-sized and startup companies that are following along suit. And one thing that I see in Seattle in my apartments here in my single family rentals as well is, the even though I've had two or three layoffs between my tenants, they're able to quickly go find similar roles in tech space, and in fact, they've actually increased their income since finding the new job. And you can typically see that, as a lot of times employers don't necessarily reward loyalty. What is one way that employees tend to get higher salary over the course of their working career is actually to switch jobs and switch employees, excuse me, and switch employers. So anyway, I've got a ton of different diversity, ton of different job options here in Seattle. From an urban living standpoint, I live in Seattle, and one thing that I'm seeing as a trend is towards back into the cities now that the whole the pandemic is winding down, and we're moving back into the cities, and we're starting to get back into that amenity rich. Obviously, the one thing that is faltering is the office space. And so while we do have quite a bit of office vacancy in Seattle, it's not near the size of any of the other metros, which is great for us. And in fact, we did just see, and we are starting to see the unraveling of Amazon bringing their employees back into the office, and the revitalization that's going to have, and how it's going to impact the downtown area. I'm super excited about how that's going to impact the Brentwood apartments. And from a demand standpoint, it's only going to increase the demand for high quality, affordable housing in a low commute time frame back into downtown. Sustainable living, some of the green movement. Seattle is one of the cities that constantly pioneers environmentally friendly initiatives, and that's no different. And one thing that I've started to do is really incorporate that. You've heard me talk about it in the past of offsetting expenses, specifically natural gas, into electric, so that way we can place that expense onto the tenant. But at the heart of it also is the move away from fossil fuels and into sustainable energy. One thing that I love about Seattle is that the vast majority of our energy, while it is expensive, it does come from absolute completely renewable sources, from wind, solar, but more so hydropower. And again, how we can harness and how we can move towards more sustainable living. We're also doing double pane windows when impossible, and adding insulation, so reducing that heating bill, reducing our dependence on energy. From an amenity standpoint, whenever we can add amenities, whether it's charged or non-charged. Things that I'm doing right now is improving the storage facilities within our apartments. So making those, renovating them, and making them cleaner, more usable, more functional. Adding bike racks within the storage, if when space allows. Also, again, like I said, cleaning it up, brightening it up, getting some more lighting into some of these dark storage facilities, which are typically in the basements. So getting in and again, making those spaces a lot more comfortable. Unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to add fitness centers or invest in apartments that have fitness centers, but that's something that's super important to me. And I really do look forward to the time that I can add in or invest in a property that has those types of facilities. Property values and rental income obviously continue to go up. Rent has been one of the things that has ridden the wave of inflation, and certainly was one of the biggest reasons why I got into the multifamily space and got back into the rentals. Was seeing the inflation data come up in October 2021. I really wanted to get in on the right side of that inflation and get on the right side to hedge myself as well against the impending and now what I believe us to be in the front end of the recession. Um, so Seattle also I've talked about in the past is that you know people will knock on Seattle from a landlord and tenant friendly environment. Yes, that's true. We do have a lot of restrictions in place that allow us or prohibit us from doing certain things with the property in terms of how much we increase per year, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing that I've touted many times before, we've got an average credit score of over 700, and that's citywide, right? That's not just my properties. My properties are 715 to 735, whereas the city average is 706, which is fantastic. And then specifically in one of my properties in Eastlake, the average income to rent ratio is over 5x. So I'm not worried about evictions. I'm not worried about non-paying tenants because again, we're taking care of, we're screening the right way, and replacing the right tenants. So back on it is again riding the wave of inflation, getting on the right side of rent increases, so that way our property values will continue to rise over the long run. Now, if you like this kind of content, I'd ask that you please comment, like, subscribe, ask your questions, help me make this content more relevant for you so that way you can get the most out of your time here on this platform. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow.